Good afternoon and a very warm welcome to episode 1 of Digital Transformation Utility of Future, brought to you by Indian Utility Week, official publication Smart Energy International, and presented by Fluent Grid Limited. On behalf of organizers, Itel Media and Clarion Energy, I once again thank you all for joining us today and for your continued support for our digital events. Needless to say that these unprecedented times has made industries and businesses to introspect on the way that they have been operating. These times has been reminder for a very profound role that digitalization can play in our lives. It has put an impetus on organizations to convert as many of its operations virtually as possible. Today's topic talks about the utility of future. A utility of future in pursuit of this journey shall adopt a series of digital initiatives that will transform the way energy is produced, delivered, and consumed across the value chain. Utilities should start progressing digital transformation at business operations as well as organization and cultural levels, along with the support of their senior leadership and not just adopting the technologies in silos. So today's topic will focus on the latest trends and technologies in electricity delivery space like AI, ML, cloud, cybersecurity, blockchain, RPA, and many more. Without further ado, I would now request Mr. Vineet Mishra to set the context of today's discussion and invite our esteemed set of panel members in the discussion. I'm sorry for the interruption. Mr. Vineet Mishra is Director Technology Consulting, EY, PNU Digital Practice. He has got 18 years of experience in power sector. He has been establishing digital practice in EY for power and utilities. He has worked with various international companies in locations like South Africa, Singapore, Dubai, Kuwait, Qatar, Nepal, and Bangladesh. He also has experience of working with funded agencies like World Bank, Japan International Cooperation Agency. He has vast experience of working with more than 25 distribution companies in India. I request Mr. Mishra to please take the discussion forward. Thank you.
Thanks, Harman. Thanks a lot. So I would really appreciate Itel Media that they organize this webinar. So it is a need of ours that we know that digital is taking a shape. So nowadays, all power distribution utilities are looking for a transformation because they know that they need to go a long way around, not only reduction of losses, but they need to go in a big mile. So if I just go back about the utilities transformation which is happening in the market. So journey started from APDRP in the year of 2003-4. At that time, basic building blocks were trying to be established, be in terms of billing, GIS kind of thing was started, but those efforts were have been taken in silos. Subsequently, Government Ministry of Power came with the scheme of RAPDRP, which was talking about billing system, MDAS system, GIS, all these integrated packages so that utility can integrate all these applications. Then subsequently, after RAPDRP, IPDS scheme came, and all these schemes came for the purpose of digitally transforming the utilities. And utilities has shown a very significant improvement in past. So if I recall, if I'm not wrong, in the year of 2006-7, when we were sitting, official number of AT&C loss almost around 40%, 42%. Nowadays, we are sitting almost on 18-19% official loss number. So this kind of a transformational journey, which utility travel through various kind of schemes of government. Now, as we all know that utilities are focusing on ERP implementation. So all power distribution utilities, though private utilities are already traveled those journey, but government utilities not adopting ERP implementation. Subsequently, one of the major transformation which happening in the market is smart metering. So what I want to communicate that this is a process. It already, utility already traveled almost 15 years in this journey. So our elite panelists will share their experience, and I'm pretty happy with this kind of a elite panelist panel, because they are drawing the experience of government utility, they are drawing experience of private utility, and apart from that, we are having an experience of like Avnish is there, so ESL kind of organization which is supporting to the utilities, and Preetham who is taking care of system integration side. So we are going to get a versatile experience of the elite panelists. So this is a matter of privilege to me to moderate this session with these kind of a set of panelists. So in this panel, we are having Mr. Udayan Ganguly, Mr. AP Singh, Avnish Vats. Mr. Ganguly is from CSC, Mr. AP Singh is from UPPCL, Mr. Avnish is from ESL, and Abhishek Ranjan is from BSES. Preetham is from Fluent Grid, and we are waiting for Mr. Arun Kumar. So he is CEO from Carrot Energy. So with this note, I'm just starting the panel for their views. So starting this panel from Mr. Udayan Ganguly. So Mr. Ganguly is having almost 3 decades experience in digital, typically what we say now is digital transformation, but Mr. Ganguly was working as a general manager with CSC, power sector. Mr. Ganguly is also part of a BIS committee, and Mr. Ganguly's experience in automation, smart metering, all these kind of a digital transformation activity. So over to you, Mr. Ganguly. Thank you.
Good afternoon, distinguished panelists, the organizers, and attendees. It's an honor to be part of this prestigious program. So, my opening remarks are centered around the digital transformation that CSC has done for itself over the years. We are a 120-year-old organization, the oldest private power distribution utility. We have a lineage of technology absorption and digitalization. In 1968, we developed our in-house LT billing system. So that was unheard of at that point of time. Unfortunately, we couldn't launch it because of trade union issues at that point of time. You could envisage. Then in early 70s, 71, we launched the LT billing system, the first major step in digitalization. Then in 1992, as early as 1992, we had very good quality electromechanical imported Landis and Gear-made meters working fine in the HT segment. But we thought, the HT consumer segment I mean, but we thought that there is enough intelligence embedded in the digital meters, and that information needs to be processed, insights taken. So we replaced all those meters with electronic meters. Then the LT segment was also targeted and completed. But the important thing at that point of time is that we started MRI-based reading for 100% of meters every month. Now that was something, you think of 1992, and you have utilities with RFPDRP implemented, still not getting into the MRI-based reading for the high-end segment for some utilities. So that was the initial start. And to top it up, we also had developed our own in-house data management system or software with exception charting. We would be analyzing each month's data and coming out with exceptions, then going out to the site and trying to catch the crooks with telltale evidences at site. I still remember and recollect my younger days. We used to have competition amongst our peers. One fine day, I would go there and maybe catch 10 crooks. But the initiating impulse came from those insights that we got from the analysis. So that was that analysis, and the amount of importance we put forth on digitalization, the analytics at that point of time was enormous, to the extent that we didn't go in for tendering. You know, tendering means multiple makes of meters, and these were era when we did not have the DLMS ICS system. So we stuck to one vendor. We paid the price for a costly meter because there was no competition, but then we got to manage the data to our satisfaction and reap benefits. Now with time, we started EMRization of the metering system, the HT, the LTCT, and we developed a system which is very efficient, if not the best, with a ready success rate of 99.6 and above month after month over the years. So with AMR, everybody has done AMR, but we stretched the AMR system to the full. We extracted, without the support of the vendor, the OEMs, we extracted benefits. We extracted outage alerts from those modems. And this is also, wherever we are not covered through SCADA, we have the fastest possible outage information coming through the AMR system, through the modems. So we have developed that. Online system also was implemented, online load capturing system from anywhere at site. It is there based on the AMR system. Then we did a transformation in the DT meter segment AMRization. People talk of energy auditing in DT metering section. If you ask what is the utility, but we extracted the benefit out of, we had a system developed which told us, which even tell us today, which are our overloaded DTs, underloaded DTs, we swap DTs, over voltage, under voltage, where are our repetitive failures. And through this mechanism, we used to procure around 450 DTs a year, new DTs I mean, and these came down to around 36 DTs at a certain point of time. So this was a significant game changer with that. Then became then came the era of smart meters. We started with a pilot on cellular meters. Then we did lots of POCs to settle for the right communication technology. We did a very successful pilot on RF mesh. So we had some unique use cases like auto consumer indexation, tariff misuse identification. So what we wanted to just sum up by saying is that being the oldest possible private power utility in India, we have that lineage. We have that lineage of getting into digitalization very early, and we have enough hunger in us to go forward, keeping digitalization at the core of our actions. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Ganguly. Thanks a lot. So coming to our next speaker, so Mr. Abhishek Ranjan. So Abhishek is part of Abhishek is a leading in BSCS. Abhishek is AGM in BSCS, and he's having experience of almost AVP in BSCS, and he's having experience of 2 decades in power sector. So Abhishek will be part of Accenture before being part of BSCS. In BSCS, Abhishek is largely leading the agenda of energy efficiency, demand side management, renewable integration kind of thing, solar rooftop, grid level energy storage, EV charging infrastructure, and power scheduling in demand forecasting. We all know how much demand forecasting and power procurement optimization very important aspect, and especially in this digital era. So Abhishek is leading this, and Abhishek was very instrumental to meet the BSCS BRPL demand of 3100 megawatt in 2018. So and apart from this, Abhishek was very instrumental also in consumer outreach and management kind of activities. So with this note, Abhishek, I will invite you. You share your experience in terms of a digital transformation in distribution utilities. Over to you, Abhishek.
Thank you, Vineet. Am I audible?
Pretty much.
Thank you. Thank you, Vineet, and thank you, Harmandeep, and everybody to offer me a chance. In the next 1 or 2 minutes, I would like to present my perspective on what digitalization or digital transformation means for a utility. We have been hearing this. I was a part of the IT sector also before, about 15 years back. So we used to do digital transformation projects for multiple clients, maybe financial companies or supply chain logistics organization, transportation companies, and we used to say a BFSI segment, banking, finance, and insurance sector segment. Now the utilities in those days were not very agile to the word called digital transformation. So what I want to say is the digital transformation is not a new thing which is happening, but this is new phenomenon for a utility. So be it a generation utility or transmission utility, distribution utility, or maybe a vertically integrated utility which is having all these operation in place. Now, very often what we do is we associate digitalization with smart meter, and that is true. Smart meter is one of the basic tools for achieving digitalization to a large extent. But then smart meter is not the only thing in the digital transformation. Digital transformation starts with the transformation of the organization as a whole, the thought process, the management thought process, the thought process of the staff, the people who are on the ground, how to imbibe the usage of technology for improving efficiency and effectiveness of the operation that they carry on day-to-day basis, number one. Number two, the planning process. The planning process for ensuring service quality and capex optimization, opex optimization. So in India, as we know, distribution licensee are both the owners and operators of carriage, as well as they are responsible for content. So it's a integrated business, distribution business. Till now, the separation of carriage and content hasn't happened. So if you ask me, digital transformation is an ongoing journey which has been disrupted with the advent of renewable energy sources. All those small things which Mr. Vineet Mishra talked about, right from electric vehicle energy storage, distributed level behind the meter in the front of energy storage, distributed energy resources like rooftop solar. You talk about smart charging, automated demand response and demand side management. All these things are what? I mean, these things are indicative of the changing role of a DISCOM, from a DISCOM to a DSO, distribution system operator. Now the distribution system is what? I mean, mostly it is, we start from 66 kV and go up to the meter of the consumer, which is at say 413 volt 3-phase or 230 volt single phase. Now, distribution system operation is more so about managing the distributed resources within the distribution boundary, different voltage levels. It starts from behind the meter, in front of the meter, and then the medium voltage like 11 kV or 33 kV and 66 kV. So the distribution companies all over India, they have been doing quite well in managing up to 11 kV level, SCADA. We have been doing it quite well. Supervisory control data acquisition. That has been a level of digitalization. But now the digital transformation or digital movement has moved on towards the consumer side. And that is why we are talking about digital transformation. How do you improve your consumer interface? How do you do the business being a customer-centric company? What are the technologies? COVID times has taught us a lot. In our company, for example, automated bill generation, self-meter reading, bills on WhatsApp, payment, multiple digital channels, which was already there. Any touch point, metering connection release online through biometrics online, webcams, Digi Seva Kendra, which is very akin to Passport Seva Kendra, online. Net metering application, solar spin portal integration online. So any service and every service which a utility is offering has to be offered online and without any interruption, so that the consumer does not feel any break in the service quality level. That is digital transformation to me. That is on the customer side. Second, if you talk about overall customer service delivery, is also very much dependent upon your system level demand forecasting, your network optimization, network O&M, and therefore the visibility real time into each and every part and node of your grid is important. That is the digital transformation on the network side. How do you ensure that every minute or every 15-minute time block information of each and every node right up to the meter is available with the distribution control room? Number one. Number two, if this information is available, how is it processed and formatted in an output which is conducive for the fieldmen or the workmen who are there on the field or in the control room to convert this information into action in a timely manner? Give an example. Whether using digital means, can I prevent an outage or tripping of a distribution transformer before it happens and ensure that the continuity of power remains? Right now, many parts of India, it happens and then linemen get to know from the consumer complaint and then somebody goes to the field and tries to do something. This is leading to a lot of downtime and a lot of pain to the consumer. Can we do that? Can we ensure auto healing grids? We have heard about these terms. Now is the time. Smart meter or even making the existing meter smart. Retrofittation is also possible. It has been amply demonstrated. So real-time communication from the meters could be done either through a altogether transformation in terms of replacement of the meters, AMI, or maybe retrofitting the existing infrastructure. Interoperability becomes very, very important. Usage of smart grid elements, data lake, and the data lake capability, and on top of it, you talk about analytical capability, which is analyzing into asset health, right from your DT level to the 11 kV or 33 and 66 kV grid lines, underground or overhead cables, underground cables or overhead lines, in all real time. Then finally comes the capability of a DSO to intertwine all these information to effectively manage the demand, to effectively manage the power quality, which is now going to come up as a regulation by CEA and the MOP, and ultimately deliver efficient service to the consumer, which is measured by SAICI, CAFE, SAIDI, SAIFI, etc. So in a nutshell, digitalization is an ongoing process which helps a utility to improve its services towards the consumer, which we in BRPL, for example, we are doing on a continuous basis. If you go to our website, you talk about any kind of connection, you talk EV, you want EV connection or solar net metering connection, or maybe any kind of connection, you should be able to do it and get it online. Service resolution, queries resolution are, we have multiple channels, be it mobile app or you have website or call lines, etc. So the idea is how do we reach to the consumer even before he reaches us, and how digital transformation enables us to become more agile organization. In IT parlance, I go back to IT a lot because I have an IT background. So in IT parlance, there is something called agile organization. So you need to be agile, and that is where the digital transformation is helping us. So yes, coming to BRPL, we are following a agile journey. Multiple technological advancements are in place, but then agility also is required on the policy side and the regulation side, because we are a regulated entity. Any other DISCOM in this country is a regulated entity. So the coming together of regulator, the policymakers, and the DISCOMs are together in digital transformation is very vital. Otherwise, this may not yield the intended result. Over these words, over to you, Vineet. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thanks, Abhishek. And I would really say that you have articulated the things in a very nice manner. You started from planning of organization and taking it to the customer side. So be it the customer interface and how customer can make a payment digitally. Then you raised a very valid point in terms of predictive maintenance of a transformer and taking to the data lake, which is a new concept coming in the market, and utilities really want to apply or take advantage of data lakes in terms of AI ML kind of initiative. And finally, you touched the DSO point, which is pretty relevant in terms of BRPL. Thanks, Abhishek. So next panelist is Mr. Atul Pratap Singh. So just as an introduction of Mr. Atul Pratap Singh, he's heading our IT operations of UPPCL. So I also got a privilege to work with him from last 6-7 years. I have also worked with him, and I would say he is leading the IT initiative in the government utilities. So he was very instrumental in terms of implementing ERP implementation, which is one of the largest ERP implementation across India, almost 11,000 user base in India in power distribution utility, and within a remarkable time. It's a timeline almost what PFC or Ministry of Power has defined within that timeline. And apart from that, he also provide the facilities to their customer to make online payment, and it is not limited up to urban area, even rural areas also through different CSCs. And one important aspect, he implemented cloud-based billing solution in rural areas. So urban area, we have seen a lot of initiatives are being taken from digital side, but for rural area, he implemented cloud-based billing solution. So whatever I say would be a very less for Mr. AP Singh. So over to you, sir.
Thank you, Vineet, and really thankful you have said a lot of words, for which I don't know I'm capable of, or I'm really should be appreciated that way. Since we are talking here about the transformation, and particularly digital transformation, it would be very pertinent in particularly in Indian context, where we come from, what has been our legacy. So any organization or entity for that matter is, as I think, is comprised of basically processes, structure, and objectives. So let me take first the objective. Objective of electric utilities in India traditionally has been dual role. I mean, they have dual role to play. On one side, they were welfare entities, social welfare, doing social welfare to general public. They were instruments of social welfare as well. And on the other side, they were expected to have the, latest enterprise sustainability. So it is a conflicting demand where Indian utilities have wonderfully optimized their operations till now, and they have been doing this very well. So just if we go back further, I mean, there before electric utilities in India at present, there were so many private utilities. With the demand of time, they were merged together, integrated, and then large behemoth utilities were created, who were having vertically integrated operations like generation, transmission, distribution. And then time further changed when we increased the consumer base. They were started disintegrating, and horizontally disintegrating, vertically disintegrated. Generation was separated out, transmission was taken out, and then we were left with the distribution kind of thing. And then now there's further disintegration on the table, like distribution network operators and the retailers, as we have this model operating elsewhere in UK or other countries successfully. So with this context in mind, since the objective had been the social welfare, and I think it will still continue to be for some more time. It will have impact on any kind of transformation, be it digital transformation or any other kind. The second thing is processes. So we inherited processes that were designed, but they were quite robust by the earlier governing bodies like Britishers, or later on the governments. They changed the processes, but not much. So with this context, I'll look into the digital transformation. So when we see the digital transformation, we see as a organization whole. Now, what is an organization in this particular context of utilities? We have customers, we have enterprise, and in enterprise, we have enterprise robustness. I mean, the structure and the operations they have, what the operating model they have, and then we have financial soundness. Financial soundness has been traditionally weak. So when we do not have financial soundness, it impacts everywhere. It impacts operations, it impacts the customer services, it impacts the enterprise robustness also. So now we want to take it forward. So what should be done? So on the customer side, I mean, all the things are interrelated. When you have operational excellence, you serve consumer better. When the consumers are satisfied, they give the financial soundness, and then you better infuse your money in the operational excellence. That is a virtuous cycle we create. And the opposite side, we create a vicious cycle where customers are unhappy, they don't pay, and then when they don't pay, we have financial weaknesses, and then it goes to the enterprise kind of thing. So now, what should be done and where should we start? So we have RAP-DRP program that was thought for almost 4 years, from 2006 to 2010, and Nandan Nilekani was head of that particular group which created that RAP-DRP project. They very thoughtfully created a comprehensive model of intervention. So what they did to start with, they created a close door kind of entities within the organization, like towns, and there the substations. Then the systems were created which helped in measuring the performance, and then out of measurement, they were interventions or initiatives that were proposed, like SCADA, like how to take the measurements of billing improvement. So these were the things that were thought of. They are still valid. They were created for the RAP-DRP part, and now they need to be created for the whole organization. So customers, let me take the customer first. So customer satisfaction, the first thing for the customer is power supply. If it is given power supply round the clock at his demand, it's his okay. Then I mean, the first and foremost thing. Then his billing part. I mean, how much you charge him, whether you are charging more or charge less, the tariffs are, the tariff structures, and the way he operates with the interfaces with the utility. So if consumer is satisfied and he is given the power he needs and he doesn't have any problem in having the interface with the utility, he is more or less satisfied, and he is taken care of very well. So now, how can it happen? Then we must have the operational excellence. Operational excellence comes from the asset utilization, the asset efficiency we have. Like, what are the assets in a utility? The lines and the substations are the basic infrastructure that utilities have. So if they operate well, they are maintained well. So asset utilization and asset maintenance have become the important part. Now for that, we need a internal model that helps to operate in the desired manner. So for that, you must have the systems that, whether they are digital, whether they are IT based, or they are manual processes. So if these are in place, then perhaps the operating efficiency improves, and that helps in the customer satisfaction and the financial soundness as well. So my point is, now we must consider what kind of IT interventions we must take to help the organization in this manner. Digital transformation, as the topic is this here we are discussing. So on the customer side, when he interfaces with consumer, he must have the medium, which is easiest or which is contemporary and which is latest up to that. For example, mobile-based communication or web-based communication or call, as we have IVRs. So, and the responses of the systems should be very quick. They must be robustly created. Here, what we have done from the consumer perspective, we have 1912 system that they just take the IVR as call. Consumer can log in the complaints on the web-based also, but mostly they call on 1912. If we don't have a system here that responds well, then the IT, whatever IT system we create, perhaps would not be of much help. So what we have done here, we take the complaint, a person resolve the complaint, then we have a customer feedback kind of thing. So it's automated mostly, and when the consumer is called back, he gives his satisfaction, and whether he is satisfied or is dissatisfied. When he is not satisfied, we reopen the complaints, and that is opened at the 2 level higher from the initial level. So unless it is consumer is satisfied, we do not close the complaint. So I mean, just to say this is the way we can create a process to satisfy consumer. So if it is digitally enabled, it is IT enabled, the monitoring of the system and measurement of the efficiency is easier. It is easier, and it can be done easily. So and can be improvised if we know the deficiencies in it. So this is from the consumer side. Now operating side, we must have definitely the measurement points, like SCADA can help and other devices can help. So they tell us which part is operating, which is not operating, and at what efficiency, at what loading. So these kind of things, but they are very expensive. So when you travel the journey, all the things you cannot, simultaneously. You have to phase out the things. So SCADA is happening. First of all, we have an intervention in the form of real-time data acquisition system. So that will help us to have the monitoring system of our the primary supply source of 11 kV feeders. Like, so I mean to say, it's a gradual approach. So when we and it helps us also to have the measurement of the interventions we are taking. So that way we can improvise also, and in fact incorporate more and more and complex technologies. Perhaps they may be required, they may not be required. It's a different matter. And what level of technology absorption and technology management you have in the organization, that solely depends on that. So to sum up, my point is, we have a legacy of the systems, processes, structure, and the objective of the organization. On that basis, we can only strategize how far we can go, how fast we can go, and in what manner the digital or IT enablement will help us. So that's from my side. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot. And you have raised a very valid point, starting from utilities, restructuring vertically and horizontally, and taking forward towards this. What is the role of digital? And precisely the role of digital is to bring the transparency in the system and automation of the system. So, and you touched very nicely in terms of asset utilization and customer satisfaction point of view. So, thanks. With this note, I'm inviting Mr. Avnish. So, Mr. Avnish is AGM IT in EESL. So, the important point which I would like to communicate that all the panelists are core digital side, but Avnish is having a multidimensional approach. So he's part of ESL, AGM IT ESL, and taking care of many initiatives, not only for distribution utility, but from municipal corporation as well, where city lighting and other programs are happening. So he's having 18 years experience, and he's having a lot in terms of got many awards for IT initiatives and transformation, including CI 100 from US 2019-20 by IDG Media. And Avnish is having a very good understanding. Avnish is having very good understanding of SAP side itself. So he's been instrumental in payroll, accounting, material management kind of module, and even he's been very instrumental in IT services and call center aspect. So with this note, Avnish, I'm handing it over to you. So over to you regarding digital transformation journey in utilities. Please, Avnish.
So good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for inviting me, giving this opportunity. So I will start it this way, like energy, which we are all talking about. Energy is very essential for growth of any country, right? But on the other hand, it gives the adverse impact on the environment. So energy efficiency is the only way to reduce the carbon footprint and then reduce the impact on the environment, right? So Energy Efficiency Service Limited is doing not many efforts in this direction. So rather than putting into many efforts in generation, we are like taking a measures for reducing the requirement of the energy. So Energy Efficiency Service Limited and its solution has saved India's over 57 billion kilowatt-hours energy annually, while reducing the 36.5 million tons of carbon emission. So this is the like statistics you can like energy efficiency is working on. So if we will energy efficiency majorly focus on the solution driven innovation with no subsidy and no capex expenditure for the client. So it just fulfills the need of upfront capital investment from the consumer. And ESL's business model are the major key pillars are the innovation, transformation, and transparency. So now I will come to as far as digital transformation is concerned. So it means it should enhancing inclusion in digital era. What does it mean? It means if you are implementing any IT initiatives or any transformation, so it should incentivize all the stakeholder, be it vendor, be it customer, be it partner. So your strategy, your planning, and your processes should be designed in such a way it can win-win situation for all, right? It should not be in a one. Your process should be streamlined. Your technology should be streamlined. So you need to adopt the technology. It is not. It may be emerging. It may be a traditional technology, but based on the innovative business model and digital end-to-end process of aggregation of demand and IT-enabled procurement process, we have reduced the LED lamp cost 92%. It become more affordable. It is just because of the IT transformation and process streamlining and transparency. And we are adopting this model to all our procurement process at ESL. I will just definitely add one more thing in terms of any transformation required your leadership buy-in and innovation. So I can say like leadership under the leadership of Sri Saurabh Kumar, Executive Vice Chairman, I can say like innovation has become a key culture at ESL. And ESL conduct international conferences every year on the basis of energy efficiency and its associated field for the innovation. So we throw out the challenges and individual and company participate in that, put up the solutions for that, and based on the innovative idea and sustainable idea, we awarded them, we also support them. That's the way we can use this technology at ESL as well, and also we can the same can be developed for others, right? So as far as ESL is concerned, we have approximate more than 10 national schemes, national programs. So IT enablement is the key process for at least implementing these large scale program in very short period of time. We will see street light program, smart metering national program, business and energy efficiency. So if you will see like at ESL, most of the program will launch, implement in very short period of time. So to manage all stakeholder, do the implementation, procurement, monitoring, and grievance handle. So you should have very robust IT systems. So we have built that system so that we can incorporate, we can like do all the projects on time with the efficiency and with the right roadmap. So you need to have the pulse of the organization. Like if we will require some solution in a very short period of time, so you need to think that way. You have if some program has to be launched within a period of one month, so you need to design your system in such a way you can able to give that particular solution to the project team. So you need to be ready for whatever requirement comes to you. You will be able to deliver in that point of time with the quality, security, and that will be benefit for all the. That's my comment.
Thank you, Mr. Amish. So again, I would say you have raised a very relevant point in the current context. So business model which ESL bringing across the table. So be it LED program, be it SLNP smart light national program, SLNP smart metering at a national program. So all these kind of things are bringing forward what kind of a model ESL bringing across the table. And on top of that, a very relevant point which you raised, that you are utilizing your digital shared services through which you are having a proper monitoring and governance. So thank you, Amish. So with this note, I'm coming to our next panelist, so Mr. Arun Kumar, who has joined us. So Mr. Arun is having almost more than 30 years experience. Arun is a CEO in Crate Energy, and Mr. Arun, out of these 30 years journey, worked with one of the premium organization, Mott MacDonald. So where he worked around this technological aspect and digital aspect. And in current scenario, Mr. Arun is leading one of the key improvement areas across all distribution companies, which is load forecasting and power procurement optimization. We all know now sector is moving from day-ahead market to real-time market. So solution market, Mr. Arun company is working. So it's a very much required in context, and out of many digital transformation which utility needs to adopt, this is one of the key important transformation which Mr. Arun is taking. So over to you, Mr. Arun.
Okay, thank you so much. If you can hear me, I had tough time getting into this this webinar. So anyway, well, I don't have 30 years, but yeah, I don't have 30, but around 20 odd years. So 30 was longest. But anyway, the point is that I have experience in various capacities, including having led the RAPDRP project when I used to work at KPMG at that time as a project manager. So post that I have worked in different capacities in investment banking and of course now in the corporate. But what I see key challenges in the utility today three three aspects of change which is inevitable. One is renewable. Renewable energy is something which is not reversible, which is going to grow from here from 9%. As we have seen in the COVID lockdown and in past during the demonetization phase, the transformation to digital is much more rapid, and it's going to happen much faster than what most people anticipate. And third thing, which is often being ignored, and right now we are somehow living with it, is profitability. No business can be sustained beyond a point unless it generates revenue. And as we all know, that the distribution business in India is the last mile has been a big challenge. We have seen a huge investment in the generation segment, mainly because the private investors came in, private companies came in to help make money. And then we saw a huge investment in transmission also because Power Grid was able to ramp up, and then the private companies also came in. We haven't seen that kind of a thing in distribution, barring a few things. Last privatization was in Delhi, and after that, some franchisees have happened. But the key thing has to be that digital with a higher share of RE has to help the profitability of the sector. Because if the sector is not profitable, no amount of government revenue can ever support it on a longer term. There is absolutely no question of you keep getting subsidies to support and run this business. How you do it, how you run it, that is something which the industry has to decide. And we think that the current stage, which is transformation in technology. So if I worked as a utility analyst, if I were to ask my institutional investors where to put the money in, today they should put the money into companies which are working on technological development. Today, if you're putting your money into generators, you're going to lose money. Today, if you're going to put money on transmission, probably you'll make money. You can't put money on distribution because anyway you don't make money. So as an investor, if I look at it, the key area to invest or key area to look for future is digital and to technology. Technology could be multiple things. Technology like we're doing forecasting, accuracy levels of processes, the data, because now luckily our situation has also changed. Our ability to, the sensors are much more cheaper. To put the digital meters are not that expensive that it used to be 5 years back. The data processing capacities have increased. With the advent of big data, we see a significant ability to transform and analyze data in quick time to help the decision maker take quick decisions. And also the artificial intelligence and machine learning processes helps the decision-making process to be more accurate than what it was in the past. So enabling environment for digital transformation is there. The reason for doing that is, I think, key is the profitability and improved services. And whatever I have little seen, I had a chance to study a few international markets. Renewable energy will require a lot more digital than what it was earlier. Good that we have also seen the regulator also coming out with new enabling regulation, like we saw the new power market regulation which come in. We are going to have the upcoming regulation on ancillary services. So regulator was working very clearly towards enabling regulation to help higher investments in digital. So I personally feel that if you are more excited about power sector for next 5 to 10 years, you should try to work for companies or work for areas which are more focusing on digital. I think it's an exciting time in the power sector to focus on digital, to go for digital. Whichever companies will be successful, will be the most successful companies, will be probably the most profitable companies also. And that's something which is not something which we have a choice on, which is going to happen whether we like it or not, whether somebody agrees or not. But this directional change, which three things I said: renewable energy, more digital, and potential profitability is inevitable and bound to happen. So that's my initial points. If you have any questions,
Thank you, Arun. So now coming to our last panelist, Preetham. So Preetham is Vice President Sales in Fluent Grid. So Preetham is having a vast experience in CIS solutions. So typically, Preetham is almost having more than, if I'm not wrong, Preetham, correct me if I'm wrong, more than 30 million consumers CIS solutions in India itself. outside India, he's having experience in African countries also. So apart from this, Preetham is taking care of smart metering solution in Indian market, be it head-end system, be it meter data management. So Fluent Grid is having its own head-end meter data management solutions along with smart metering operations center. So over to you, Preetham.
Yeah, thank you, Vinit. Good afternoon to all the panelists.
After Preetham, we are going to do a poll. So poll question would be flashed accordingly. Over to you, Preetham. Sorry.
Yeah, good afternoon, all the panelists and the attendees. Thank you for inviting me for this. I think one of the perils of speaking after such an elite panel is that most of what had to be said is already said. So I'll just start off with a quote by Victor Hugo, which goes something like, "No power on earth can stop an idea whose time has come." And I think digital transformation in utilities is one such idea, like other panelists, including Mr. Arun, had touched upon. So having come from a company which had the privilege and the opportunity to observe and participate in the transformation of utility industry from close quarters for over 2 decades now, I think, and including participating or implementing several marquee projects, including the one which Mr. Vinit had mentioned in his opening remarks about UPPCL, where we had the privilege to partner with Mr. AP Singh and UPPCL in implementing one of the largest cloud-based billing implementation, which is covering over 23 million consumers in the rural areas. So, having been somebody who is got a front row seat, I just wanted to highlight a few trends that we feel are going to enable utilities become more digital, right? I think even before all this pandemic had started, government and utilities have taken some great initiatives to equip themselves with some great technologies. But really, pandemic is going to be that inflection point, which is going to accelerate the adoption in utilities. I think even earlier, there was never any doubt in anybody's mind about the benefits of what technology can bring to the utilities. But what pandemic had shown specifically is what utilities will miss out if they don't scale up in technology, right? So specifically, I would like to touch upon 2 to 4 dimensions, most of it which has already been covered. 4 dimensions in which I think technology is going to play a major role in this new normal, and where we are already seeing trends of that being adopted now. The first is consumers. Undoubtedly, all the debate has been put to rest. A digitally connected consumer through smart metering and a host of other customer engagement platforms, like enabling them to do self-meter billing or delivering services completely online, right from new service connection till realizing the collections online. A digitally connected consumer is going to deliver a lot of value to utility. That has been proven beyond doubt. And utilities which have invested into this, like NDMC and KESCO, again, where we have been privileged to implement our solutions, our smart metering solutions, have seen a growth of per meter per month revenue in excess of more than about 550 rupees in NDMC and more than 150 rupees in KESCO. So that has really tilted the scale, and we just hope that government will quickly realize its ambition of 250 million plus smart meters. The second area is assets. In a time when employee mobility has been hindered, the value of being able to connect and monitor and manage assets digitally has shown itself, right? So going forward, all IoT enabled smart asset management is going to play a big role, and in the new normal, where we believe a lot of these disruptions are going to come in future, utilities will make themselves bulletproof once they adopt these technologies, right? The third is employees. As we are all working from home, utilities are no exception. Most of the employees are working from home. So in that setting, a suite of technologies which enable collaboration and help employees to connect digitally are going to be adopted big time, and this is already being done. And specifically, technologies which enable customer service departments to be operated from home, like even the call center being operating from home, etc., are going to make a big role going forward. Similarly, the technologies which allow staff to monitor operations without having to come to office, like the command and control center for utilities or smart metering operations center, these are going to help utilities in a big way. The last area is the supply chain of the power sector. Arun had briefly touched upon it. There are two key trends that we have seen. The first is there is a tremendous fluctuation in demand that was seen during the pandemic times. While many industries were shutting down, the household consumers started consuming more because of working from home. So there is a shift in demand patterns, which makes it difficult for grid operators to balance the demand and supply. And digital has a big role to play there in terms of being able to predict demand and supply accurately and matching them. Right. The second trend is injection of more renewables. During the pandemic period, though the overall demand has gone down, the percentage of renewables in the energy mix has gone up significantly. And this is a trend I think will continue, and government will also be encouraged by this trend. And for incorporating more and more renewables, like Arun has stressed upon, it's all digital. Digital has a much bigger role. So with these few remarks, I just wanted to once again thank the panel for giving me the opportunity. And I believe that digital is a very exciting place to be in utilities at the moment. And we are here to help the utilities in their journey. Thank you.
Thanks, Preetham. Thanks a lot. So precisely you touched a very relevant point. So I'm just recalling one of my article which published through LinkedIn. And these all 4 key areas which I typically try to mention to all the participants, all the audience of the LinkedIn, wherein this really is going to be a new normal. So after this pandemic, we are going to see how customers are being treated digitally and how assets can remotely access. Because we were just trying to gauge out the case of Maharashtra, Mumbai, wherein before rainy season, assets are being typically go for maintenance cycle, but now we all know the condition, what's happening, so how it will be done. So we were thinking about how it can be done remotely, how maintenance can be done remotely. So thanks Preetham. So with this note, I would like to say, audience, please post your question in Q&A chat. So with this note, I'm just I have certain questions which I would like to see your views around those questions, because you are eminent players of the market, so your views are very pertinent around those. So the first question which I would like to raise to Mr. Ganguly. Mr. Ganguly, we all know that in terms of operation and in terms of technology adoption, CSE also being the front runner. So during this pandemic, I would like to understand what was your organization learning from digital side, and how do you see that digital is going to really help increase your top line, or at least ensure your bottom line? So that is what I want to seek your views. So Mr. Ganguly, can you please? Sorry, I think there was a poll was required. So are we running the poll, Harman?
Yes. Ashley, could you please? Thank you. So there are 20 seconds, audience can participate in the poll. In the meanwhile, Mr. Ganguly can start answering the question that is posed by Vinay.
So the pandemic impacted all utilities across the globe, and CSE was not an exception. There were a sharp drop in sales, obvious, because of the generic economic lockdown. Industrial and commercial consumption plummeted. Domestic consumption was also lower because it was cooler this year, at least in the eastern part of the country, compared to last year. The economic uncertainty impacted domestic sales as well. So like many other factors contributing, work from home also impacted the commercial sales. So there was a sharp drop in sales, and as if that was not enough, we had a revenue recovery issue as well, which got impacted adversely. Because meters could not, as everyone can understand, the meters are manually read. The vast majority of meters in Indian utilities are manually read, and meters could not be read manually. Average billing was resorted to. Now this is there is a paradox. As per regulatory requirement, you can do average, but average for us in the month of March or April, where the consumption is going up because of the summer months, you are taking an average of the last 6 months, which includes predominantly the winter months. So you are billing them, you are underbilling them. And this had its impact, which we found out the hard way. The printing of electricity bills printed electricity bills could not be couriered. So that's another issue. Cash offices could not be kept open. Initial period of considerable length of time, we could not keep our cash offices open. Consumers could not make payment. So the revenue recovery is also dwindled. So there was drop in sales coupled with revenue recovery, and this severely impacted the top line. Now, as I told, that initially we had the cooler months as the average that we billed the consumers. When we started the meter reading later on and started billing them on actuals, the actual reading over a period of maybe 2, 3, 4 months, depending on the case, people started complaining that they were being billed very, very high. So this created a big issue, and we had lots and lots of problems to grapple with. The whole idea to bill on the last 6 months average for us was based on the premise that the customer was under stress. So how can we alleviate the pain? So how can we bill them little so that they can pay the bills, we get our sustenance, as well as they are not inconvenienced. And that resulted in a huge issue, as we have highlighted. Now, regarding the bottom line, all fixed costs had to be honored, like salary, wages, the PPA, its costs. So costs also increased. Own generation costs because of low PLF impacted the distribution company as well. Logistic cost increase in order to prop up essential services. You have the entire lot of special arrangements to be made to sustain the essential services. COVID-19 prevention cost was also huge, not planned for. So costs increased, revenue leakages increased as well. As a utility, you would understand that we were not able to disconnect supply, and that is for humanitarian ground because of a difficult time period. Lack of surveillance on the ground pushed up the pilferage instances and distribution losses too. Defective meters in circuit could not be detected through site testing because we were not able to reach the homes, and consequently we were not getting replaced. And also new connections were not getting added to. So we had invested in capex, but we were not able to go through the project implementation, which stifled our earnings. Drop in industrial and commercial revenue realization put a cross-subsidizing mechanism under severe strain. Additionally, this eastern part of India witnessed the deadliest of typhoons that we have ever witnessed in this part of the country, Amphan, and it had a catastrophic effect on the entire city of Kolkata, impacting the utility services. And this not only pushed up the costs and performance expectations from the customers, it also little bit dented the image of the company, because the level of services we are able to maintain normally could not be maintained as per the expectations of the customer during this very difficult period of post-Amphan. So this is how the pandemic impacted our top line and also the bottom line. Now we had undertaken some mitigation measures as well. We had increased by multi-folds the customer outreach by one and all, everybody, even the youngest member of the team, the CSC has started collaborating, discussing with the customer. We introduced trust billing. We started helping the customer with billing information because bills were not reaching them. We were providing with payment reminders, facilitating them with online payment registrations, arranging for multiple digital payment gateway to facilitate the process. We were trying to increase the check collection points, Thoughtful resource strategizing was also being done to put in extra effort in maintaining uninterrupted supply continuity, also for Amphan period, ensuring hassle-free process of AMRI smart meter arrangement. At least these group of customers, the smart meter and the AMRI customers, should not get inconvenienced. And work from home was encouraged to a great extent, even for a brick and mortar power distribution company. So these were the initial immediate measures that we had to take under compulsion. Later, we started, as things stabilized, we started commencing of physical meter readings from early June. Then opening up cash offices progressively with precautions, and commencement of meter site inspections and removal of defective meters with field force automation in place. So in a nutshell, this is how we try to overcome the issues that we had operationally on the ground. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ganghi. Thanks for sharing your view. So I would reach out to the team that if we can project the poll result, can we? Yeah. So eventually, yes, all three are pretty important. So any utility, if they want to reach out to travel the digital transformation journey, first they need to be ready with digital transformation roadmap, because just to avoid the silos kind of approach. Change management, yes, it's also very important aspect, which we are seeing that nowadays we are having a team which is typically very few are aware of what kind of new initiatives are coming. So to adopt those kind of technology change management, and leadership buy-in is again a very important aspect. We have seen in many initiatives where leadership comes from the front, then those initiatives are taken up by the organization. So fine. So so my next question to Abhishek. So Abhishek, want to understand your views. The organization like BRPL, who's sitting almost on 8 to 9% losses. So how do you think what other digital initiative which you want to take forward, and why you want to take forward those initiatives while you are already sitting on 8%? So what is pushing BRPL to take forward digital transformation journey in future?
Vineet, I'm sorry. I think Abhishek has.
Oh, yeah. So
yeah. Yeah. So Abhishek had due to important meeting. So we'll carry on with the other panelists.
Okay. So my next question to Mr. A.P. Singh. So, sir, the point is DISCOMs are now embarking digital transformation journey. So, in your view, what should be the right approach? So, we know there are different kind of approach DISCOMs are adopting, and you being witnessed and you solicited the journey of UPPCL of digital transformation. So, what should be the right approach in your view which DISCOM needs to adopt to take a real benefit of digital transformation? Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Vineet. My view is since this is digital transformation, and this cannot move forward without the help of employees. So acceptance of technology and the technology management within the organization is very important, and we must have the approach towards technology management essentially before creating any roadmap or taking a strategic initiative in this regard. So this is one thing, and consumer awareness is another. Any programs we initiate, if consumer is not aware and he does not take the full benefit of that, that becomes that is rendered worthless. So we had a lot of problem when we started and the consumer services in this state, because many consumers were not aware of the things, and it was a big challenge how to make the consumers aware about the initiatives, especially IT initiatives, in a state which largely have the general public which do not resort to many IT kind of thing. So, for example, when we initiated SMS-based complaint management system in 2013, so it was a big challenge. How to make the public aware that there is a SMS service which can help them to log their complaints. So it took around 2 years to make the consumers aware, and still the awareness is around not more than 40–50%. which is otherwise very helpful service. I mean, you just send any SMS and your complaint is logged. Our customer executive at the customer care center calls back. He takes the full complaint and then reports back. All those things happen. But if the consumer is not aware, then whole this exercise is not very helpful. The other part, as I said, is the employee side. Many of the employees in the organizations have a different profile. I mean, they are from the low IT background. They are not very receptive to the technological initiatives, and they feel difficulty in pretty small things like operating through mobile or taking the web kind of thing. In government sector, when you have a very diverse profile, and the employees come from the diverse background, and they are a bit reluctant, as generally in the utilities are people there because of their work nature. I mean, how they have been operating. So it was not very IT kind of thing. So they were very used to the paperwork kind of thing. So now to just suddenly ask them to move towards IT, they become a bit, I mean, restless about this. So technology management and technology, the awareness are two very important things which will help any utility. So these are the things. And digitalization, digitalization of the processes, and the transformation can only happen when these two things are in place. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. So next question to Arun. So I want to understand your view, because Arun, you and your team are doing a fantastic job around this load forecasting and power procurement. So the point is, we want to understand your view how this load forecasting kind of things are pretty important in DISCOMs, because DISCOMs now slowly and gradually understanding the importance of load forecasting, wherein how accuracy is playing an important role. And more so, I would take a subsequent part of that RTM is coming in the picture. So how this load forecasting and accuracy of load forecasting going to play important role, and utility can leverage this. So your views, over to you, Arun.
Yeah, load forecasting used to be more of a post facto thing earlier, before probably RTM. I mean, it started being used by DISCOM actively for last 1.5 years. Prior to that, by and large, DISCOMs used to feel that they know, they are aware. But as RE started coming in more, because it's not only the load, it's also the RE forecasting, which is equally important. Because you have to sometimes, if there's rooftop solar, the load of that building goes down. So the DISCOM needs to understand how much power it needs to purchase, or how much power it needs to forego for that particular month, and particular period, particular hour. So it's like you have to get to the more micro level. And that clearly, because 80% of the DISCOM cost is power purchase. So obviously optimization of that cost is of most significant, and hence the accuracy level of forecasting becomes critical. Because if the accuracy levels are low, like less than 98%, 97%, then that 1-2% difficult extra power if DISCOM buys, or shortage if DISCOM suffer, would impact their overall profitability. As I said in the beginning, profitability will be the key role, play the key role in any future use of any technology. If it is not payback for the next year, it will not be viable. Technology should be paid back within the same year. RTM, as you said rightly, RTM is because earlier what was happening is that DISCOMs only had an option of a day-ahead market. So market was only day-ahead. So I had to buy everything on a one-day-ahead basis. But RE forecasting on a day-ahead basis is not very accurate. RE forecasting is more accurate if you take 2 hours forward, or 1 hour forward, or it's closer to time. And if you look at the international market, especially Europe, where there is a high percentage of RE market, you can change your power schedule within 5 minutes. 5 minutes. 5 minutes is a change in. India still, even with the RTM, you still have around 1.5 hours, 75 minutes before you can start your purchase. So going forward, even this RTM will become closer to real time. We understand that the regulator wants to bring it to half an hour for the actual schedule, which will be important, because for RE, as you say, more and more RE comes into the grid. Today, around 9% RE is in the grid. with RE increasing to say 10 to 10, 15%, or maybe 20% in next 5-6 years, what time frame we look at it, the accuracy level becomes most critical. And there also important thing to understand is that accuracy level is a function of the weather forecasting, not weather situation, because weather forecasting is an area where still we are weak by and large, because we're using the data from IMD institutes, various institutes in India. We are also using international data, but the accuracy level on weather forecasting is still questionable, and most of the errors happen because of the errors in the weather forecasting. Because in the power side, forecasting levels are not very accurate. Most errors happen because of and that needs to improve as we go forward. Very critical, very important from a risk and profitability point of view.
Thank you, Arun, and we can understand because I read around a month back almost that the initial first month of this RTM is giving almost 500 CR saving to DISCOM. If we can really leverage the potential of this accurate load forecasting to any media itself, so they can absolutely increase their bottom line. Thank you, Arun.
Right.
So the time for the next poll. So can we project the next poll, please?
Ashley, can we have the second poll, please? Thank you.
So the point is business drivers which power distribution utility envisages through digital transformation. So what are the key business drivers which utility needs to adopt this digital transformation journey? Our options are customer satisfaction, cost optimization, venturing out new business or revenue streams, or even all. Over to you, audience. So it's almost 20-second time is there for this poll. So by the time I'm just putting the next question to Mr. Avnish. So Mr. Avnish, as you highlighted and conveyed in your opening statement that ESL is looking after many different kind of projects. So typically almost more than 10 to 15 projects which you are leading from central IT sites. So need to understand your view. How do you manage the operation during this pandemic scenario? So specific your experience through which you could maintain uninterrupted operations in the field. So over to you, Mr. Avnish.
Yeah. So as we see, like as far as ESL is concerned, so we are in multiple projects which are street light, smart meter, and e-mobility. So 11 million of street light are operational as of now. It has been implemented, and to manage this huge sum of lights, it's really a tough task, right? So all these overall integration of all these IoT-based system, that is a centralized control and monitoring system. So at the same platform, so all the lights, more than 50 to 60% of the street light are monitoring from the central portal. So it can give the status of on, off, and automatic alerting system, which gives the input like which street light is faulty. So it is not throughout the overall implementation, but most of the implementation are governed by all these CCMS. Apart from that, there are certain areas where all these CCMS is under implementation or have some issues. So we have a centralized call center that was also operational during this pandemic. So as Mr. Ganguli also said, like there were certain numbers. So we have implemented around 3 years centralized call center. So our call center is published across India. We can receive the call through phone, through SMS, through WhatsApp, through mail, through portal. So we are received more than 1.25 lakhs complaint from the street light during these 2 months, and 80% of 80 to 85% call has been addressed by during that time. So all these from that call center, the systems were there that has been escalated to the concerned agencies across India, and then they will rectify. If something has to be done remotely from the CCMS side, that can be managed, or other they have to visit in person. So all safety kit and all the safety measures has been provided to them. They visit to the site and get it rectified. So through this all IT operations, as far as smart meter is concerned, it's again that two-way communication system is there. So if some issues with the smart meter, so it has been rectified remotely, or if some module or hardware related issues were there, so the team has visited in person. So that's how all things has been managed very efficiently.
Thank you. Thanks, Abhishek. So by the time the results is being displayed. So question to you, Preetam. Preetam, how do you think that Fluent Grid is supporting this smart meter journey in India? Because we are seeing 250 million smart meter needs to be rolled out in time-bound manner, and already many states have started this journey. So how do you think that Fluent Grid is going to give support for this digital transformation journey? Over to you, Preetam.
Thank you, Vinit. As I mean, we are all very excited, like everybody else in the industry, about the 250 million smart meters rollout. And as a company, as probably the only company has got complete set of products for enabling smart metering, right from head-end to meter data management to analytics to portal, mobile app, and the billing systems, along with the prepaid capability. I think we have which we have already implemented with several of our partners in several utilities. With this, I think we are well poised to help utilities in their transformation journey, because we bring in both perspectives, not only on the metering side, but also on the billing side and the revenue side. And this, I'm sure, will help utilities reap full benefits of smart metering. The second point which I wanted to highlight is the prepaid. As we all know, prepaid is a big thing that is going to come about in the industry. And since we have been one of the pioneers to implement prepaid using smart meters without the necessity for the billing system to have that capability, we believe it's a much scalable solution, because it is not very easy for the legacy systems to ramp up to add this functionality at this stage. So since we have it on the smart metering side, this will be a scalable model to adopt. The next area where we see a lot of contribution or a lot of enablement to utilities is helping consumers get more accurate and real-time information to make knowledge-based decisions with respect to power consumption, and hopefully this will also translate into better demand response programs and overall drive the country towards energy efficiency. Finally, with all the data that comes from smart metering, analytics is a natural extension, but we envision that although most of the utilities have point analytics systems for each of the systems that they have implemented, like ERP has its own set of analytics, billing has its own set of analytics, smart metering has its set. But we envision enterprise level data lake building and leveraging full capability of the data to derive actionable intelligence. And not only that, again, simple actionable intelligence will not be sufficient. There should be some kind of a monitoring, centralized monitoring and centralized view of entire operations of the DISCOM, like cities are doing with their command and control center. With the smart metering and the wealth of data that comes in, along with all the systems that are already enabled, we see a role where on top of the analytics platform, we can have a command and control system where you see utilities can get situational awareness, can do event management, alarm management, and a whole host of other things, right? Finally, smart metering will also help in better asset planning and asset optimization. So all in all, in nutshell, we envision a much bigger role in helping utilities increase their customer satisfaction, revenue realization, streamline their operation, and optimization of their assets, right?
Thank you, Preetam. So the subsequent point which I would like to seek your views also, the classic challenge which we see in the system and smart metering that headends comes from different source, meter data management comes from different source, billing system comes from different source. So integration is one of the major challenges which we are seeing in the sector itself. So any view around it, and probably probably maybe one of the key OEMs which are bringing across one suite on one platform itself. What's the view around this?
Yeah, my view is that see, as long as there are standards set and there is an active support from the utilities and the vendor ecosystem, integrations are not a major issue. However, the best value can be derived when systems become plug and play, and I think eventually that is where we will head towards when utilities start adopting much more advanced systems, much more proven systems. And slowly get away from the legacy mode, right?
Perfect. Done. So can we project the poll result, please? Yeah. So the business driver which we are envisaging for digital transformation, 12% against saying customer satisfaction, 12% cost optimization, venture new business and revenue streams, probably 0%, but still all are saying 76%. Yes, so but there are certain new revenue models which are coming in the market, and which is precisely around the data source. So data is going to be very important. So data is bringing a new business streams in the market. So with this digital transformation, be it asset data, be it customer data, which is also going to open a new segment of revenue stream itself. So with this note, I would say that I would like to convey my thanks to all the panelists. So Mr. Ganguly, so I'm just trying to summarize what we have discussed during this webinar session. So Mr. Ganguly slightly started the journey of CSC, which he has seen from electromechanical meter to electronics, AMR, AMI, and kind of a new initiative being taken in the pandemic scenario. So yes, utilities are, even government utilities are also transforming from the same, started from the journey electromechanical to AMI system itself. Abhishek, who's not right now, is not here. Abhishek, there's very valid point around the planning of assets moving towards predictive analytics, which is a true benefit of digital transformation, where you can optimize your maintenance cost with the help of predictive maintenance. And next, data lake, and which Preetham also talks about data lake. So use of data lake is coming in a big way around. So AP Singh, sir, is not here right now. So things are also told about customer and enterprise level challenges, and talked about utility restructuring, started from uniform bundled utility to restructured utility, and more so now restructured utility, individual utility is looking for their bottom line right now, and financial sustainability is one of the important aspects. If the organization is not financially viable, so all transformation will get a big challenge in terms of implementation, because fund is a key important ingredient to run all these digital transformation. Avnish also raised a very valid point in terms of ESL experience to run these projects of SLNP, SMNP, even in this COVID scenario. So that's a kudos to ESL that they ensured that uninterrupted operation should be there itself. And personally, I'm very impressed with Mr. Arun, because he's leading one of the key digital intervention in the market, which is going to change the sector in next 1 year. So precisely right now we are talking about RTM of 15 minutes, but in UK countries things are moving on 5 minutes itself. So I hope that India will also move going forward on 5 minutes kind of trading. And Preetham also conveyed about his organization and his views around this smart metering intervention in the markets and initiatives, and that too so streamline integration of all the components. So with this note, I would convey my thanks to all of you that you shared your views, and audience would understand your views and will surely like to leverage or be benefited from you. Thank you. Thanks everyone. Over to you, Harman.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vineet. So I'd just like to thank our expert panel for offering their time today and to address the audience with your valuable thoughts and inputs on digital transformation. Mr. Udayan Ganguly, Mr. Atul Singh, Mr. Abhishek Ranjan, who left a while ago, Mr. Avnish Watts, Mr. Arun Kumar, Mr. Preetam Mopuri, and of course, Mr. Vineet Mishra. So it was a great panel of experts from power distribution services and technology providers. And many thanks to all of you, and a big thank you to all the audience for joining us and for your active participation. And we hope you enjoyed the session. And before you all sign off, we request you to stay back for a short video on 17th edition of PowerGen India and Indian Utility Week, which is to be organized in 2021. And we'll see you soon in our next session. Till then, stay safe and thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sharman. Thanks for I10 Media also to arrange this session. Thank you.
Thank you.